morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in the Brazos Valley. Can y'all hear me okay? Everybody here okay? People are coming in. My name is Reverend Kaya Hartwood. I have the pleasure of being the minister of this fabulous place. And my pronouns are she, they. Our first warm-up song today is a great chant called Let the Way Be Open, and Elliot's going to come help me drum, and let me tell you the words. Sing with my voice, pray with my hands, let the way be open. If you can't remember these words, I've got another part for you, and I'll teach it to you up there, but it goes, let the way be open, let the way be open. So if you get lost, that's your part, okay? Yeah, Evan, it's not very loud. My vocal, pulpit needs to come up. Thank you so much. Just a little bit. There we go. Is that better, everybody? Yeah. Excellent. Let's sing. Sing with my voice, pray with my hands, let the way be open. Sing with my voice, pray with my hands, let the way be open. 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 Sing with my voice. Pray with my hands. Let the way be open. Elliot, take a break. Sing with my voice, pray with my hands, let the way be ready? Pen. Sing with my voice, pray with my hands, let the way be whole. Help us out. Use your hands. Let the way be open. 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 Sing with my voice, pray with my hands, let the way be whole. 1, 2, ready, stop.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley, UUCBV, or Brazos UU for short. My name is Mary Coonley. My pronouns are she, her. We are a welcoming congregation, which means we celebrate and welcome all people across diversities of race, gender, sexual identities, age, ability, immigration status, and belief. We are also a congregation working for reproductive justice. So whoever you are, wherever you have come from, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here.
Good morning. So my name is Cameron Young. My pronouns are they, them, and I am on staff for the southern region of our Unitarian Universalist Association. And yesterday I had the absolute pleasure of spending the day with the board of your congregation for their annual retreat. So a little bit about the work that I do. I am on what's called Congregational Life staff for the UUA, and we are guided by the work of the 4 Cs. We work directly with congregations all throughout the southern region, which is Texas to Florida, even all the way down to Mexico. And our 4 Cs are coaching, so we coach congregations through all the technical things of how to do church. We companion through difficult times, through joyous times. We're your partners in that. We connect with other congregations. We connect you with other congregations throughout the region and other resources that may be useful to you. And we challenge you to become the best Unitarian Universalists you can be. And this is a great church. And how can I not be energized by that amazing prelude? So your call to worship this morning. So, for those who are gathered here, physically and digitally, for those people of our past and present who have shaped us, and those yet to come, for the spirits of the great beyond, let us rejoice in the holy communion we call life and worship together.
We want to welcome Rory to come and light the chalice. And if you would say with me that we light the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, as a beacon of hope for all who seek justice, dignity, and compassion, and in celebration of the life of truth and meaning we share together. Now please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
As Unitarian Universalists, we believe there is a spark of the divine in every being throughout the universe, but especially in you all. And this is your opportunity to say howdy to the other divine sparks in the room, especially the ones that you don't know their names yet. Make a special effort, if it's a new face, to make them feel welcome. Also, if you are one of those people who do not like this at all, just hold your arms like this and look kind of mean, and everybody will leave you alone. And I will let you know when it's over with a very loud gong. Go for it.
Howdy. My name is Alice, and I use she, they pronouns, and I am the Director of Religious Education here at the Brazos UU. Yeah! Feel alive! Okay. Today, I have a wonderful story for you that I think everyone can relate to. It's about trusting yourself, even if those around you might be telling you something that seems, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is right. Trust yourself. It's called The Sky is Red. There once was a man named Mr. Zippity. Mr. Zippity liked to imagine that he was a superhero. He wanted to take over the world. He wasn't particularly interested in making the world a better place, but he definitely wanted to be very powerful. One day, he got tired of pretending to be a superhero and decided to go search out the mystical, magical fairy who had their own superpowers to turn regular people into real superheroes. He traveled for days, through valleys, over hills, across rivers, and finally arrived at the enchanted forest where the magical, mystical fairy lived. When he finally approached them, he said, "Mystical, magical fairy, my name is Mr. Zippity. I want to be very powerful. I wish to be a superhero and take over the world." "Hello, Mr. Zippity," said the mystical, magical fairy. "That is not an easy wish to grant. I can't give that kind of power to just anybody." "Well, I can prove to you that I should be a superhero," said Mr. Zippity. "I would need to make sure you would use your powers for good," replied the mystical, magical fairy. Of course I would," Mr. Zippity said. The mystical, magical fairy thought for a moment. "Okay, Mr. Zippity," they said, "I will give you a chance to prove to me that you deserve your wish to come true. I will give you a test, a true test, that will help me determine if you will use your powers for good and to make the world a better place. If you pass this test, I will make you a superhero." "What do I have to do?" asked Mr. Zippity. "You have to go find 3 little children and make them believe that the blue sky is red." Gasp, everyone gasp. Mr. Zippity looked up at the big blue sky and was quite confused by this request, but he was not going to question the mystical, magical fairy. If they wanted him to convince children that the sky was red instead of blue, that's what he would do. Finally, this was his chance to become a superhero. Obviously, a superhero would be powerful enough to convince 3 little children that the sky was in fact red. In fact, he thought, this is going to be a piece of cake. "You have 3 chances, Mr. Zippity, and we will see then if I should make your wish come true." With that, Mr. Zippity took off on his quest. He walked down the hill until he reached the river and saw a little boy sitting under a tree. What luck, he thought. Mr. Zippity approached the little boy. "Hello there. Isn't this a lovely day we're having here?" "Oh, yes, it's a wonderful day," said the boy. Mr. Zippity looked up at the blue sky and said, "I have never seen the sky look so red. Doesn't this red sky look incredible?" "Red?" said the little boy. I see a blue sky." "Little boy, I can't believe you think you're looking at a blue sky," Mr. Zippity exclaimed. "The sky is bright red. I am a grown-up. I know the colors very well. Take another look. Don't you also see a red sky?" The little boy looked up at the blue sky, but started second-guessing himself. If this grown-up says that the sky is red, of course the sky must be red. The little boy looked at Mr. Zippity and nodded his head in agreement. "I see that you're right, sir. What a lovely red sky." 1 down, 2 to go, thought Mr. Zippity. Mr. Zippity waved goodbye to the boy and continued to walk down the hill when he saw a little girl playing with her family in the park. Just like with the little boy, he approached her and said, "Hello there, isn't this a lovely day we're having?" "Oh yes, it's a wonderful day," she said. "I love playing in the park." Mr. Zippity looked up at the blue sky and said, "I've never seen the sky look so red. Doesn't this red sky look incredible today?" The little girl looked at the sky and scratched her head. "Sir, the sky is blue. I can see it with my own eyes." "Little girl, the sky is not blue," Mr. Zippity replied. "Don't you see how it matches those red flowers?" "I'm a grown-up. Trust me. I would not get my colors wrong. I know you're a smart girl. Why don't you take another look?" The little girl definitely wanted to be considered smart. Of course, a grown-up would know their colors, she reasoned. She took another look up, and although she saw a bright blue sky, she looked at Mr. Zippity and said, "Yeah, I see now that you're right. The sky is red." Mr. Zippity was ecstatic. 2 down, 1 to go. This couldn't be any easier. He said goodbye to the little girl and continued on his journey. He walked through the park until he reached a sidewalk. There, he saw a little boy sitting on a bench waiting for the bus. Mr. Zippity could barely contain his excitement. After he convinced this little boy that the sky was red, he would be a superhero. "Hello there, little boy. Isn't this a lovely day we're having?" "Oh, yes, it's a wonderful day, sir," said the little boy. Mr. Zippity looked up again at the blue sky and said, "I've never seen the sky look so red. Doesn't the sky look incredible today?" This little boy looked up at the sky, then back at Mr. Zippity with a confused look. "Sir, are your eyes okay? The sky is blue." "Little boy, my eyes are fine," Mr. Zippity said sternly. "The sky is not blue. Don't you see how it matches those red cars driving by? I'm a grown-up. Trust me. I would not get my colors wrong. I know you're a smart boy. Why don't you take another look at the sky?" This little boy did not look back up at the sky. Instead, he looked right at Mr. Zippity and said, "Sir, I am a smart boy. I trust what I see, and I clearly see a blue sky. You may want to get your eyes checked again." Now Mr. Zippity was getting upset. He needed this boy to believe him. "Little boy, I've been around a lot longer than you. I know what I see, and I know that I am looking at a red sky. In fact, everyone on the street knows what we're looking at. I've already talked to many other people around here about how beautiful the red sky looks today, and they won't even believe that there's a boy who actually thinks the sky is blue. They will think you're very silly." The little boy looked at Mr. Zippity and said, "Sir, I can't control what people think of me, and I can't control what people think they see. However, what I can control are my feelings and my thoughts and what I believe to be true. I trust myself. I understand that you're telling me that no one else sees a blue sky, but it doesn't change the fact that I do see a blue sky." After the little boy spoke those words, there was a huge wind. Can everybody do a wind sound? And all of a sudden, the mystical, magical fairy appeared. Mr. Zippity kneeled down and clasped his hands together, begging the fairy to turn him into a superhero. "I know that I wasn't able to convince this last child," said Mr. Zippity, "but I did convince 2 other children that the sky was red. Doesn't that show how powerful I am? Wasn't that the point of your test anyway?" The mystical, magical fairy perched down on a flower and looked at Mr. Zippity. "No," they said softly. "Actually, Mr. Zippity, you did not pass the test at all. The test was to see if you would use your powers for good, and to make the world a better place. You already failed that test when you accepted my challenge in the first place." "What?" asked Mr. Zippity. "The real test was seeing if you would do the right thing and tell me that you would not use your powers to make people doubt what they see with their own eyes. A real superhero would never use their powers to convince anyone of things that were not true, and instead would encourage people to believe in themselves and trust themselves. For this reason, your wish is denied." Can everyone say denied? Denied. Wonderful. Mr. Zippity was upset, but knew better than to try to argue with the mystical, magical fairy. He put his head down and walked away slowly, thinking about the events of the day. The mystical, magical fairy then looked at the last little boy, the one that trusted himself so much that he stood up for himself and held on to what he believed, no matter what others thought. "You are the real superhero," they said. Woo! The end. All right, and now is the time when I invite all of our younger UUs to join me in religious education. And would you all please sing us out with "This Little Light of Mine"?
Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now's the time in our service where we light candles and talk to ourselves. Maybe sit in silence if you want to pray, or listen to your heart. If you would like to light a candle for someone or for something that you're thinking about, an intention, you can get up and walk by our candle areas here, and somebody knows what they're doing. Will show you how to do it. It's pretty simple. And I have a number of guests coming to play. Andrew and Deidre are going to help me play hymn number 16. No, 18? 18. What Wondrous Love. Oh, it's not even. It's 16. Deidre and Andrew. I believe we're going to sing number 16. 'Tis a gift to be simple. How many times are we going to sing it, Cameron? Twice?
Twice.
Twice. It's in the gray hymnal, y'all. Get ready. We're singing. All of us. It's church. We participate. One, two, three.
To be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight. By turning, we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight. By turning, we come round right.
Oh my gosh. I could worship here all the time. So, first, a story. So, when I was in my 20s, a religious educator in a congregation, much like Allison's role here, I was sitting in my office, and this kid, not 6 or 7 years old, walks in. And he had a propensity to sort of wander the hallways during classes and worship, but we kind of created a safe container for him to do so. He was just a little antsy, a little high energy. And he comes into my office, and he sees this wooden Buddha statue perched on my desk. And he has this aha moment and says, "Hey, that looks like a boy and a girl." And in those simple words, independent of Sunday school classes, he basically has this realization of something that it takes adults a long time to figure out, if ever. So he figures out that, one, he tells me the gender binary is a social construct. Two, that the human soul is comprised of both masculine and feminine traits. And three, the ability to reconcile those traits is actually a sign of spiritual maturity, dare I say, enlightenment. This one moment, and this kid just knows it. And nobody taught it to him. Maybe he'd been around enough gender diverse people in the congregation that he started to become familiar with this this idea of gender fluidity, but this was this realization he had on his own. So I want you to do a little visualization exercise. You can get comfortable, close your eyes if that helps. And I want you to think back to one of your earliest, maybe your earliest memory of community. Think about what were the first things you noticed about that community as a child? Sights, sounds, smells, people. What were you thinking to yourself as this young person? Did you feel welcomed? Did you feel honored? What were the things that made you feel safe and welcomed or not? So I'd be curious to know what you all came up with, and I'd wager there were some key differences, not only about the communities themselves, but also what you immediately noticed back then as a young person versus what are the first things you notice about a community now when you first set foot in it. And it's always important to remember that this varies based on age, cultural background, ability. People of different backgrounds may notice things differently when they set foot into the same community that you do. I think about taking my mom, who is wheelchair-bound, into a clothing store I've frequented myself, and suddenly noticing her wheelchair couldn't fit between the racks in the aisles. Suddenly I was seeing the world through this lens, and the implicit message, the unspoken message, being her own invisibility as a disabled person. There are unspoken messages everywhere and in every community, some positive, some negative, some neutral. And they comprise, in a religious context, in a church context, they comprise what religious education scholar Maria Harris refers to as the implicit curriculum or the implied curriculum. So unlike the explicit curriculum, which in church are the words we say, the words in our hymns, the literal curricula we teach in RE classes, even our bylaws, everything that's written down or spoken is part of the explicit curriculum, but the implicit curriculum are the messages behind the messages, some of which can even contradict what's in the explicit curriculum. We can say we're welcoming, but do people feel welcome? The implicit curriculum is how we teach without words what our faith and what our churches are about. So Harris offers examples of implied curriculum in churches as things like attitude, time spent, the design of a room, things like presence or absence of teenagers in our parish councils, or things like percentage of church revenues we give or don't give to the less fortunate. In other words, as we say in UU spaces, deeds, not creeds. A while back, when I had mentioned to someone I worked in Unitarian Universalism, they replied to me, "Isn't that just a bunch of college professors talking about nuclear disarmament?" Honestly, I appreciated the person's bluntness, but that was the implied message they had come to associate with UU churches. So they had been acquainted with a UU church once upon a time, and that's what it was. Implicit curriculum is especially important when we're speaking of young children. They may not be able to internalize the abstract messages said from the pulpit, especially when they're coming from some boring person in a blue suit who's just babbling away. Or even in Sunday school. But like the high-energy kid who loved my Buddha statue, they receive our faith's teachings in so many other ways. Scholar and author Chap Clark famously said, "Faith is not taught, it is," anybody? Caught. Caught. Our churches, along with those of a bevy of other traditions, have reached an impasse in the wake of the pandemic. We've long said the dominant models of church, especially Sunday school, are dated. They are rooted in structures from the 1950s where most households had one working parent and faith institutions had an endless volunteer pool. Churches didn't have to compete with the vast amount of entities vying for attention of adults and children alike. Whether that be school extracurriculars, academics, multiple jobs, because let's face it, most of us need multiple jobs, or digital communities and social media platforms. Churches were the epicenters of communities and epicenters of towns and cities, and that is no longer the case. The trends have long pointed towards such models being unsustainable, and the effects of the pandemic on churches harshly illuminated that truth. There is good news, though. So, this church, Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley, is in a very unique position in that you actually have a robust and growing children and youth program. That's very unusual right now. Yes. And I feel like, in some sense, I'm preaching to the choir here about what it means to welcome young people, because you do a lot of that work, and it's intentional, and it's important. And it's unfortunately not necessarily the norm. So here's one thing I want you to say. There's one thing I want to say to help you remember. So you have lots of kids, you have a growing program. What are the things you can do to help sustain that growth, to keep your children and youth here, and to keep them in the faith for the long term? So believe it or not, the single biggest predictor of whether or not a young person will remain in the faith of their childhood, it's not the RE program, it's not youth conferences, it's not even the presence of other children and youth. So according to Pew Research Center, it's if that child or youth had 5 healthy relationships with adults in the congregation who are not their parents or members of their immediate family. That is the single biggest predictor of whether or not a young person will remain in the faith that they're raised in. Ideally, you want religious education to be a container for such relationships, but it can't be the only one. Relationship is the single most important piece of the implied curriculum. That certainly rings true for me. I was a youth in this faith. When I went off to college, so did most of my peers. So what was significant for me was to have a faith community to come home to where people knew my name and cared about me. Those were not the youth who were in my youth group because they were off. Those were the adults. Those who may say they don't believe in organized religion or that it has become irrelevant miss one crucial thing, and that is the church's capacity for intergenerational community. Children are less likely now to have grandparents active in their lives, either because they're living in different places or because people are waiting longer to have children. My dad's grandmother was 37 when he was born. So the infrastructure to surround a child with loving elders who foster shared values, generally doesn't exist in your standard nonprofits or social justice movements or similar institutions. You have this unique role in society in which you have this space full of grandparents and elders and mentors. And as I heard in our board retreat yesterday, with great power becomes great responsibility. So the question we must ask ourselves then is, are the elders ready? To determine that, we need to think about the implied curriculum. Though you may have identified differences in what you notice first about a community between now and your childhood, I guarantee every person walking through the door of a Unitarian Universalist congregation for the first time ever, regardless of their age, is asking three questions. Am I safe here? Am I welcome here? Can I trust these people? This is always the starting point to anyone who gets introduced to the faith. It may seem obvious, but it's easy to lose sight of for those of us who have been around and in the church for a long time. So what are the very first impressions a newcomer at UUBV will receive about this church? I can attest, I'm new here. The music, the intergenerational community, the energy, all great things. The willingness to empower young leaders, positive messages from my part. What are the implicit messages a child will receive when they first enter? Will they be greeted by friendly adults eager to learn their names and speak with them on their level? Will they be welcomed and incorporated into worship, even if they may be a bit high energy and chatty? Will church events and small groups be inclusive of families with young children? Meaning, firstly, are they invited? And secondly, are there activities or childcare support? Are they at reasonable times? And finally, and this is not just important to young people, but to all newcomers to Unitarian Universalism, how do we show what's at the core of our faith without using words? The 7 principles are great. So are the new values. But exactly how do we transmit the right of conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregations and society at large, or even justice, equity, pluralism, interdependence, transformation, and generosity to a 2-year-old? That, my friends, is why we agree to put love at the center. That is more understandable. Love is now at the center of our explicit curriculum, and therefore we make a promise to live into it as part of our implied curriculum. We as a tradition have long held value in reason, empiricism, and logic, products of the Enlightenment era where Unitarianism and Universalism experienced American renaissances. While these things are important, they're not enough to save us. And they are not readily accessible to everyone. Children, young people are blessed with this divine gift of intuition, just like the kid who saw the Buddha statue, or the kid in the story who insisted that the sky was blue and he knew what he knew to be true. They know things even when they can't always readily articulate it. That's why the teaching without words is so important. A child's intuition, which is asking, am I safe here? Am I welcome here? And can I trust these people? Will tell them very quickly if a community is embodying this love at the center. So, my friends, take a moment to consider this. For those children, for disabled folks, for trans and queer folks, people of the global majority, and for each other? How will you show them, without many or no words, that love is at the center of this faith and this community? May it be so, and amen.
Now let an offering be taken to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now keepers of the dream. This church shares the proceeds of the offering plate donation every week to help support important nonprofit organizations with which we work. The 4 groups we voted to support with this year's donations are Tiny Hope Village, Brazos Interfaith Immigration Network, the Pride Center, and Unlimited Potential. We vote on this every May at our congregational meeting. Please be as generous as you can.
On the day heaven tried to take my soul, you came down like in fairy tales of old. I said, open your wide wings for me. And you said, close your eyes and just believe. You're made of darkness and fire, my friend. I think the world may be coming to an end. But when heaven and hell do collide, know that I'll always be here by your side. You know I'd follow you through hell and fight off demons as well. You beat your wings and cast a spell, I'll run away with you. And I said, hallelujah, running to ya. We'll blind as you and I can watch the stars fall from the sky, all golden white, my shot of light. Let's go together, we'll be free. The world ends eventually, so come with me. Take my hand and we'll face the end of time. Let's take a stand against fate's design. I said I can't bear to see the end. And you said close your eyes and count to 10. I knew you'd follow me through hell and fight off angels as well. You beat your wings and cast a spell, I'll run away with you. And I said, hallelujah, running to ya. They won't find us, you and I can watch the stars fall from the sky, all golden white, my shot of light. Let's go together, we'll be free. The world ends eventually, so come with me. And after 6,000 years, if the world disappears, I'd fight angels and demons to find you, my dear. I hear heavenly sounds in my head when you're near. I'm all right now you're here. And I say, hallelujah, running to ya. We've escaped them, you and I can fly away and paint the sky all golden white, my shot of light. Let's go together, now we're free. The world ends eventually, so come with me.
We give thanks for these gifts we have given, for those we receive, and for each other. May your generosity return to you tenfold. And there are a few announcements. Today, August 17, after church, is a volunteer fair. Find out ways you can help the church today. This includes sign-ups for the new round of worship teams to begin in September. Secondly, September 7 at noon is our new member class. Please RSVP for lunch and childcare. Thirdly, Philosophers Club meets Wednesdays at 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Fourthly, the Way of the Earth study group meets Mondays, 6 to 8 p.m. And finally, the Brazos County Democratic Party will be meeting in our Fred Monday, August 18th. That's tomorrow at 5:30. Everyone is welcome. And now please join me in extinguishing the chalice. Did I jump ahead?
Does everybody know what a worship team is? The way we do it here is that you sign up for a period of 6 months of being on the first Sunday or second Sunday or third Sunday worship team. And there's a tech on the worship team, and there's the greeters that meet you at the door. There's the people who set up the hospitality and bake stuff. There's the person who's doing the worship associate. All those things, you're on a team. You only have to do it once every 4 weeks, maybe 5 in a month with 5 Sundays. If you don't want to do it very much, sign up for the 5th Sunday. That's one thing. Also, does everybody know what the Fred is? The Fred is our room that everybody meets in, where all the food and all the talking at coffee hour happens. And we call that Fred a functioning room with excellent design. Right. So let's extinguish the chalice.
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again.
Please sing with me, if you choose to, our benediction. Remember the way of the wind, and breathe and blow. Remember the way of the fire, and sparkle and glitter and glow. Remember the way of the water, and ebb and flow. Remember the way of the earth, and grow. Go in peace.